Hi everyone, I'm so glad that you're part of our virtual junk journal camp retreat. My name is Rachel Reed and I am here today to show you an embellishment. This is a mini journal made out of a guest check. And as you can see, this is a quick and easy project that anybody can do. It's one guest check. There are 4 to 5 papers on the inside folded in half. You just need a stapler and then some things to embellish. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It will only take us a few minutes to do this craft. So you start with a guest check, and then I'm going to set this to the side. I always get a little piece of fabric. If you have some cheesecloth, you can get some cheesecloth or some lace or whatever you'd like. And then you're going to take your guest check. I already folded this one. And you're just going to fold it in half. So go ahead and fold that in half. And then I'm just going to put this on here to hold it. And then you need some papers. My guest checks are the thick guest checks, so you do need to measure them if you don't buy the same ones that I have. But the paper that I have inside is 3¼ by 6¼ and then you take those papers and you fold them in half, okay, just like this. So let me show you some of the papers that I'm using. And I'm using scraps. This is a great scrap project. Now, if you don't have scraps, if you're new to junk journaling, I do have some of these kits which will be discounted for any of the virtual members. So you can go ahead and check that out. So, okay, so you can bind this with thread if you want, but today I want to just use a stapler because most of us have a stapler at home and they have a stapler handy. So I'm just kind of centering this paper in here, and I'm going to grab my stapler and I'm going to just line it up on my fold line and give it a staple. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half. If you have a bone folder, you can use your bone folder. I'm just going to use my stylus. And then at this point, you can do one of two things. You can ink it if you have ink. And if you don't have ink, that's fine too. I'm going to go ahead and ink it. I'm going to use Tim Holtz Distress Ink. And I'm using Vintage Photo, which is one of my favorite. It's a little bit darker aged look. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly ink around my edges to give it this beautiful distressed look. Now, as I said, you don't have to do this part. Be careful when you're getting guest checks that you get the thicker guest checks. The thin ones, they're not as sturdy for this type of project. You can use them, but if you really want a mini journal, the other thing that's nice about these is you can slip them in your purse, slip them in a bag. A lot of times I'll just make these real quick for lists and things like that. And I love to give these as gifts. I love to send them in Happy Mail because they're very reasonable to send. You can send this in Happy Mail for just a regular stamp. I'm using Fabri-Tac. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this fabric, okay? And it's actually a smidge too long. So I'm going to just tear maybe a little bit off of here. Oh, let's get it to work here. Well, let's go a little deeper. There we go. Okay. So I'm just pulling a few threads so that I can get that more distressed and aged look. Now I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to put it down here. You do not need a thick layer, you just need a very thin layer. I'm going to place my fabric right towards the edge, just like that. And then I'm going to add a little piece of cheesecloth. I do not typically glue down my cheesecloth. I will typically let my embellishment sort of stick it down when I put it on. So I have this little dress embellishment. You can do any type of embellishment. This one right here was just a printable that I put down. So whatever you have works. If you don't have a lot of embellishments because you're just starting out, cut something out of a magazine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add this. Now this embellishment is very dainty, so I'm gonna have to kind of be very careful as I add this adhesive. All right, so actually going to add, I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue just because they're so small, some really small areas. I will add some Fabri-Tac as well, but I'm going to put this clear tacky glue very carefully along the edge of this dress. And I'm just kind of going along the edge, making sure that, and I'm going to put the Fabri-Tac in the middle where there's a larger space. Now you can put the liquid glue everywhere if you want. And then I'm going to just kind of figure out where I want to place it and place it down. And I'm just pressing a piece of paper over it because some of the glue might seep out. See that? And so I just didn't want to get my fingers all sticky, but there you go. It's as simple as that. This is done. Now, it's almost done. I want to add a little bit of lace to my edges. So I'm going to pull out some crocheted lace. And I could put it on the outside if I wanted, but I want to see that guest check. So I'm actually going to glue it on the inside. So I'm just going to take my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to go right along the edge here. And then I'm going to tack down my lace, my little crocheted lace. I will trim it off. And look at how cute that is. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a piece on the back. Just the same way we did on the front. And our embellishment is done. Now you can certainly add pockets to the front of this. You can do anything that you would do to a normal journal. So we just made this embellishment in about 8 minutes. So I hope you liked that tutorial. And I hope you watch my next tutorial. Thank you.